Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün ABD Texas'ın en büyük üniversitelerinden The University of North Texas'ta kariyer odaklı eğitimi Peter'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Peter, the stage is yours now.
Well, thank you, Zeynep, and thank you, IEFT. You're always such a great partner for the University of North Texas. So today, a really intriguing topic. You know, you will have seen that as our economies are starting to deal with COVID and recovering, we're seeing that the economy that is going to be the new economy is very much a different economy. It's going to be very much a economy focused on big data. And with big data comes a need for analytics. And so our topic today will focus on how do you choose majors of the future for that new economy, for the world of analytics. So welcome everyone. My name is Pieter Vermeulen. I work at the University of North Texas. I'll cue up our presentation and off we go. All right, so welcome from North Texas. We are delighted to be working with the IEFT Talks webinar series today. They have been a wonderful partner to us. So we are the University of North Texas. We are in a very large city area called Dallas-Fort Worth. If you take a pin and you stick it in the middle of the map of the US, a little bit towards the south, you come to Dallas-Fort Worth. Huge economic area in the United States, one of the fastest growing economic areas. And the reason for this is right here, the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. This is the economic motor of our region. Huge operation, 50 million passengers a year, 7 runways. This is really what drives our economy. And here is the heart of Dallas, where you see right here on the doorstep of the university, there are many of the leading world companies. And this is a wonderful opportunity for you to find internships and really launch your career for this new big data economy. And we're located just about half an hour north of the city center of Dallas, in a wonderful student-friendly suburb called Denton, Texas. Here you see the town square, wonderful place to study with lots of music, lots of restaurants, just a great student town. Quick view of our campus. We are one of the largest public universities in the US. We have at the moment more than 40,000 students on our campus, about 3,000 international students, and we're very lucky that we are the choice of more than 30 students from Turkey as well. For us, the ranking that really matters is we are a research-focused university, and so the Carnegie Foundation ranking is very important for us. We are a Carnegie Tier 1 university, so among the top 3% of research universities in the US. And so today we're going to focus on the topic of analytics. You know, we get a lot of questions from people about how do you choose your major, your degree of the future in analytics? Because there are many programs with similar names. And so I'm going to help to clear up some of that confusion. And I'm going to give you a picture of what are your options of great majors that you can study for the future, that companies are looking for, where there are lots of internships, and that can help you launch your career for this new economy. So let's look at analytics, and let's take a very quick look at the history of this field and how it came about, so that you can understand what the different types of jobs are in this area. So, you know, at the heart of analytics, of course, are the ones and zeros, right? Math and algebra, and understanding the probability of these through statistics. So anyone interested in analytics, this is really at the core of what you'll be studying. And then, of course, you'll be doing this in a sophisticated way. And that means that you'll be using software and computers. And so coding and helping computers to do the analysis for you is also part of this discipline. Then there's the challenge of getting many big data sets and putting them into your computer. And data these days is not just ones and zeros, it's just not just numbers, but data comes from many different sources, right? Including text and video. There's many data sources. And then for any analysis to be helpful, we have to, of course, know how to bring the data back out in a way that shows us, in a visual way, that shows us graphs and dashboards and helps us make effective decisions. And so very much part of that puzzle is now the big data inputs. Big data where information just doesn't come from one source, but is sourced from many sources in the cloud and brought together and analyzed together. So there's the core of any analyst and what you have to know about. Now I'm going to show you how this relates to the different professions in analytics. You know, traditionally, analytics was already a field that was very popular within the university world, and there was many very smart people at universities that were studying this through what they called advanced methods, right? Things like regression. And the kind of careers that went with that traditionally in the academic world, these were called data researchers. And this is still a very important role in our world of universities. But of course, analytics did not stay just at universities. Very quickly, commercial organizations and government organizations all started to use statistics to make good decisions. And so with that came the need for advanced data analytics within a commercial setting or government setting. And these people, they work often in the back office of these organizations, but have a very, very important role to support decisions. They are the statistics experts. And so statistics experts, not a very glamorous role, but a very highly paid role in many organizations. And so if we take this to the world of business, then traditionally in business, of course, there was already a lot of analytics going on in the area of operations research. And traditionally, we used to call these analysts decision scientists, right? Within the College of Business, we still have a very large group at North Texas that does decision science. Recently, the analytics groups have really grown and been picked up the new software and the new ways of visualizing data for business. And this field that has very fast grown up is called business analytics. Business analytics, an excellent choice if you want to apply your analytics skills within a business context. And the kind of roles that we see for this in business are that of the business analyst. Business analyst, if it is an internal person, or business consultant, right? If it is someone from outside the business organization that helps with the analysis. But of course, analysis is definitely not limited to business organizations. In fact, for instance, in the field of analytics, we also see that the use of big data has really taken off. So coding, of course, very much has to do with computer science and making computers do for you what traditionally used to be done with calculators. And the big data world has really spurred big developments in the area of artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, those kind of fields. And so now within engineering fields, there is a new field that is very quickly growing called data engineering. Data engineering, and the role of that is the one of the data engineer. And so those of you who are more inclined towards the engineering profession, but very much want to be involved in analytics, data engineering is a great choice. And the University of North Texas now has a master's program in engineering just focused on data engineering. And then there are areas of study that are available if you're much more into the strategic use of data, thinking about how data can be used in many, many different organizations. And of course, that came from an area which traditionally was called information science, started out with databases and libraries and those areas, but now also is called data science where people take a much more of a strategic view on the use of data in organizations. And then finally, I want to point out another very fast-growing area where there's great programs to take at universities, and that's in the area of learning technologies. The need not just to spread data, but to spread knowledge among groups within organizations so that the data that is acquired is used effectively to make good decisions. And so those people who are interested in that, they're very much the learning experts. And this is a new field around analytics that is very fast developing and where many organizations understand the need to have experts in this area. And so just to recap, analytics really started out in the academic world with folks like data researchers, quickly spread to other organizations that have statistics experts in their offices. And then generally in business, remember in business, we already did a lot of analysis of our operations. And now there is a wonderful field called business analytics that focuses on using leading software and to analyze and to display data in a very visual data, for instance, through dashboards and those kind of things to make good business decisions. Engineering really has a strong focus now on data as well through data engineering, and the strategic use of data in organizations, analytics in organizations. The field there is data science. So I'll line these up for you and show you that the 6 great choices for careers of the future in analytics. First of all, at the heart of analytics, that's where the sophisticated statistical methods are, right? This is the area of study which at universities is called advanced data analytics. And the University of North Texas has some of the leading programs in this area, advanced data analytics. So a second field is then the application of analytics within business. And what you can study there is the field of business analytics. And North Texas has a center of excellence in this area with some world famous faculty members like Kashif Saeed, who run really some of the leading business analytics programs at North Texas. Then remember, analytics is not just limited these days to the areas of business or academics, but analytics has really permeated, data has really come together in many of the engineering fields. And for that, if you're inclined to study engineering. A great new choice in engineering is the choice of data engineering. Many high-tech companies, many data-driven companies in insurance and other fields are really looking for experts in data engineering. And then there is the more strategic view on how do you use data in various organizations. For instance, there's a whole need to be much more sophisticated in the use of data and analytics in the healthcare world. And so a great field to study there is, if you're interested in the strategic use of analytics and data, is the field of data science. Furthermore, of course, it's not just limited to business organizations, engineering organizations, public organizations, but very much data has also permeated the media. And one of the media areas, of course, that has grown very fast recently is social media. And so with the broader spread of social media has come the need to understand how you're performing in the area of social media marketing, things like that. And so many companies are now in their sales marketing operation, in their communications departments, are wanting to know, okay, how are we doing? How is our analytics looking in that field? And so if you're interested in the social media area and the use of analytics, then digital media analytics is a great field for you to study. And then finally, I want to point you to a choice which is like an evergreen choice in the area of analytics, which has only become more and more important recently, because recently there has been so much uncertainty in the financial markets, volatility, uncertainty in the insurance markets. And so a core field of analytics that should definitely be on your radar is the field that is called actuarial sciences. Actuarial sciences is the field of analytics that is used to predict the probability of certain risk categories, right? It's at the heart of the insurance industry. So there are your 6 areas within analytics that should definitely be on your radar if you're looking for the good internships in the new economy, the big data economy. There's advanced data analytics, the use of sophisticated statistic tools. There's business analytics, the use of the most recent software to analyze and to provide data in a visual way, like dashboards to make decisions. There's the area of data engineering, very fast growing area of analytics within the engineering field. There's the strategic use of data through data science. There is analytics within the social media world through digital media analytics. And there is the field of actuarial science, which has been around for a long, long time, but will be around for a long, long time to go, because it is essential in the puzzle of how to hedge against risk. So there's your 6 areas of study that are a great bet if you're looking for a good internship and to launch your career in this new world of the big data economy. So with that, let me talk to you about what does it take to apply to a US university, and I'll just give you a quick overview and so that you know the structure of what an application takes. And then there will be a lot of great help from the university to help make your application a very simple and smooth process. But I'll lay out the information for you. There are basically 2 parties in every application to the US. There's the university and there is the US government. And both of these parties want some information from you when you apply for a program in the US. First of all, universities want to know, were you a strong student in the school or the university where you currently are, right? Did you do well in your current studies? For that, we want to see your transcript and your grades in coursework. Second, we want to know, will you finish or have you finished your current program? For that, we want to see your diploma or your university degree. Thirdly, we want to know, once you join us, will you be a strong student when you're with us? For this, we often ask you to do a standardized test, like for undergraduate students, the SAT or ACT, for graduate master level students or doctoral students, the GRE, or in business, the GMAT test. Now, in this COVID period, many of these test centers have actually been closed, not accessible. And so many universities, including the University of North Texas, at the moment are waiving the requirement for these tests. Furthermore, we want to know, will you be able to keep up in a fast-paced English language classroom? For this, we ask you to give us the score on English language proficiency tests, like the TOEFL test, tests of English as a foreign language, or the IELTS test, or a test called Duolingo. There are many opportunities to take a simple online test and get us a score so that we have a sense of that you are, your English is up to speed for our programs. Furthermore, we'll often ask you for a statement of purpose, so that we know that the program you're choosing is going to be a great fit for the kind of career you're looking for. And then finally, we often ask for letters of reference. We ask for evidence from other people who know you as a student, who know you as a professional, to let us know that onward studies is a great choice for you. And then the government also wants 4 things. The government wants to know, are you really the person that you say you are? For this, they ask for the passport. Secondly, they want to know, is your primary reason for coming to the US to study? And so that's what the visa interview is about. Thirdly, they want to know, will you have enough financial resources to be able to pay for at least the first year of your studies? Will you have scholarships? That kind of information. That's what the statement of finances is about. And then finally, and quite importantly these days, universities want to know, will you not be a health risk to other students? And for that, we would be looking for proof of vaccination, those kind of documents. So there are the 10 elements of most applications to US universities. Some applications are a little simpler, where you may not be required to write a statement, or you may not need to submit letters of reference. But basically, these are the 10 elements of every application to a university in the United States. And the good news is that there are many really well-informed people to help make this application process very simple for you. And we're going to give you an email address where you can reach the University of North Texas to help you with your application process. So reaching the University of North Texas for your application, you can simply email study@unt.edu, study@unt.edu. And so with that, we will transition to your questions that you've been submitting to us in the chat and the Q&A. And we'll spend a few more minutes to try and give you answers about the careers in analytics that you might be considering. So at this point, I'm going to transition out of the presentation. We are going to join the webinar format, and let's have a look. Okay, so, okay. Zeynep, are we back to the webinar format?
Yes, we are, Peter.
Great. Okay, so also on the webinar, two of my colleagues have joined. So on the webinar today, you see Tiara Franklin. Wave, Tiara. All right, and you also see May Dong. Wave, May. All
Hi,
right.
everyone.
So we're all three, we're here to help answer your questions. And we've been monitoring the chat and Q&A box. Tiara, do you want to start us off? What kind of questions have you been seeing?
The general questions. One that I think maybe you would like to talk a little bit more about is what career opportunities are in the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolis for these careers.
Yes, yes. So you've heard me say earlier that this new economy that is now growing after the global pandemic crisis is a very different economy. Is an economy that's going to focus strongly on big data. And the kind of companies that the University of North Texas has in our backyard are some of the traditional industries, right? Texas is very much an oil economy still. And so we have some of the leading oil companies in the world, like ExxonMobil. We also have some of the largest tech companies in the United States in the US defense industry, like Lockheed Martin and Bell Helicopter, really exciting companies in the engineering field that use data engineering. And then Dallas-Fort Worth is also the capital of the insurance industry in the United States, where like AG and other companies are right here. AIG is right here on our doorstep. And those are, of course, mega users of big data and companies that are always looking for new talent in the area of data analytics. Also, we have a very large computer industry in Dallas-Fort Worth with leading companies like Dell Computers. All right. What other questions are you seeing, Tiara?
Let me see. One of them is, I guess, a pretty general questions in terms of getting scholarship.
Yes, scholarship. Scholarship is of course, a question we see a whole lot, and it's really important to help you afford your studies in the US. So let me spend just a little bit of time talking about it, and then perhaps May, you can also chime in. So basically, if you are going to join us as an undergraduate student so a student in bachelor level programs, we have scholarships that are merit-based. Merit means they're based on strong scores. So for instance, if your grades in school were good, if your class rank was high, if you've perhaps done a good score on one of the standardized tests like SAT and ACT, then there's the ability at North Texas to get a merit-based scholarship, and also to reduce your level of tuition that you have to pay a whole lot. May, do you want to explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So all the international students who are qualified for the in-state tuition, if they've been awarded a scholarship of $1,000 and more. So we do see each year there are a lot of students are awarding these scholarship and at the same time getting the in-state tuition. So I also see some students are asking like what kind of GPA is required for the scholarship? Is IB curriculum helpful to the scholarship? And also like how to apply for a scholarship. So just touch upon a little bit for that. So right now UNT is a test optional school, which means the SAT or ACT score are optional. They're not required for admission or scholarship. But again, if you do have that score, feel free to send it over. It's going to be helpful, you know, once we add it to your file. So other things that are helpful will be your high school GPA and also your class rank. I know some school, for example, the IB schools, they don't offer the class rank all the time. If in that case, your high school GPA will be helpful. Also, if possible, maybe you can have your guidance counselor to write you a statement about your academic background and send it to us. That will be helpful as well.
So just a little bit of context about the cost of studying at North Texas. So we're located in the middle and the south of the US. And the cost of living in North Texas is much, much less expensive than on the East Coast and West Coast. And so this will already reduce your budget by about a quarter of all costs, because your cost of living is just so much cheaper than in Boston, New York, or in Los Angeles, but you're still in one of the leading economic areas of the United States in Dallas-Fort Worth. Second, you've heard May mention the mechanism to be able to pay in-state tuition. In-state tuition means you'll be paying like a Texas student, not like an international student. And this can be as much as a 50% savings on your tuition cost. And so the scholarships that May mentioned, they give access to this in-state tuition. And so in addition to the level of scholarship that you get, $1,000, $4,000, some students about $6,000, they're also able to then have their tuition bill reduced to in-state tuition, which may be as much as a $10,000 saving. And so all in all, these elements make studying at North Texas very affordable, especially compared to other areas within the United States. For graduate students, master level students, there are also wonderful mechanisms to reduce your costs of studying. And our graduate students on campus, many of them do this via the mechanism of working in assistantships, graduate assistant, teaching assistant, research assistant. There are many, many of these assistantships across campus. In fact, the University of North Texas is like a village in itself in terms of its size. And so in terms of assistantships alone, there are 3,500 assistantships on our campus that help you to, one, get a small payment for being an assistant, but then also the opportunity to pay in-state tuition. And so for graduate students, there are also great ways to knock your cost of studying way, way down. All right, what other questions are we seeing?
I just answered one, but I can answer it in person as well. Particularly one of the questions was how many credits do they take a year? Is it flexible? Can they take more credits to graduate early? That's the question. And I guess that's two separate parts, right, Peter, for undergraduate and master's?
Credits is a bit of a weird term in the US, right? Many people think about how many courses do I have to take? And for an undergraduate student, a bachelor level student, because of the visa requirements of being in the US, you have to take a minimum of 4 courses. For a master level student, you have to take a minimum of 3 courses each semester. So these are per semester, right? And so that's the way that you can remain within visa status. This is the way you do what's called a full load of coursework. 4 courses per semester for an undergraduate, 3 for a graduate. And yes, there's many opportunities to take more coursework per semester, and by that mechanism to speed up your studies, right? If you do some coursework in the summer as well, you do more courses than the minimum load during the big fall and spring semesters, then it is possible to speed up your studies by as much as half a year. There's also the possibility to bring in some academic coursework already from your previous institutions, or some high school level credit if you come from an OB school or those kind of high schools. There's a limited opportunity to bring in some advanced credit, and again, that's a great way to speed up your studies. All right, what else are people asking?
They're asking about GPA. What if I don't have a 3.0 GPA? Can I still apply for a university?
Yes. So many of our departments at the university, they do what's called a holistic review, which means they don't just look at your transcripts with your grades, but they also look at, for instance, if you've done a standardized test, if you've done an SAT or ACT or a GRE or GMAT test, they will look at that score. They will look at the level of the university you may have studied at before. I remember from my travels, when I used to come to Ankara, I used to visit some great universities like Bilkent and other universities. And so if you come from a strong university, that also shows that you're a very serious scholar. And so in a holistic review, that will help with your application. And also our admissions team does understand that the level of grading in different countries is different from the US, right? In the US, it's quite simple for students to attain an A, and there is some degree of grade inflation, right? We understand this is not the same around the world, and that in strong schools and universities in Turkey, the ability to get a very high grade is not as easy as it is in some institutions in the US. And so we do understand that your grading system may be a little bit more strict than we are used to. And so we will look at your grades with that in mind. All right. Any other questions that we're seeing? Tiara, what do you see?
I think we've already answered this, but maybe not. Going.
Tiara, I think you've frozen up. May, as Tiara goes and tries to fix her technology, could you have a look?
Sure. I see there's a question about the tuition fee for computer science.
Over the tuition.
Oh, she's back.
Keep going, May.
Sure. It's about the tuition fee for computer science program, bachelor.
Yes. So tuition fees vary a little bit across campus because some programs have laboratory fees and things like that. But overall, for an undergraduate student, the out-of-state tuition level is at about $22,000 per year. And remember, though, that many students have, through their scholarships and other mechanisms, are able to pay in-state tuition. And in-state tuition for an undergraduate student is closer to about $12,000 per year. Furthermore, for your budget, you have to keep in mind that you also have the cost of living. Cost of living in Texas is very low, only about $1,000 per month. So $12,000 per year. That gives you an idea of what your costs of studying would be at North Texas.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Next question is about the scholarship for bachelor program are the exact same with the graduate program. So basically the scholarship option, bachelor versus graduate programs, these are the same or these are different?
So the outcome is the same in the sense that in both the bachelor programs and the master's programs, there are ways that you can pay in-state tuition and so really knock down your costs of studying. But the way that you can apply to them is a little bit different for undergraduate to graduate. Undergraduate students, it's based on your high school grade point average. And if you have a high school ranking, also your high school ranking. And if you've done a standardized test, that also can be a component. For graduate students, for master level students, it's based on assistantships. So when you join the university, you look for assistantships, often within your department or within the libraries or other areas on campus. And through that, as you work as an assistant, you also have access to a stipend to work and in-state tuition.
Yeah, just added to that, we do have a UNT website covering all the scholarship information, like lay out different options for students to review. So if you're interested, please feel free to send us email and we'll be very happy to share more detailed information with you, such as how to apply, what is the deadline, and some of the tips to share with you. So please feel free to email us, study@unt.edu, and we'll be happy to reply you with more details.
All right. Any other question that you see that we should answer, May?
I think we've covered most of the questions, and for now, everyone has been answered.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about what the fall will look like at North Texas as our campuses are recovering from the pandemic. We've been very fortunate in the US that across the US, the availability of vaccination has been fantastic. And so many of us have had the opportunity to get vaccinated. Many of the faculty, the students, the staff on our campus have now been vaccinated. And in fact, we had some wonderful news this week where the requirement to wear a mask on our campus has been lifted. Many of us still do this in courtesy to others, but you'll see that the where we are at the moment in North Texas with the pandemic is that really we're on a great path to return to normal. For the fall, our campus will be open. There will be face-to-face classes as in a normal semester. And there'll still be a little bit of a mix of face-to-face and online available. But basically, the campus experience, the US campus experience is back. And, you know, many of our international students tell us that they join us because that's really what they want, right? They want to interact with other students. They want to interact with the faculty. They want to experience everything around the campus life and athletics on a US campus and all of that. And we are just delighted that in fall, that will be back. You still need to check very carefully for the process of traveling into the US, where there may be the carriers, the airlines may have some restrictions as to the need to have had a COVID test before you are allowed onto the airplane. And when you arrive, there may still be some limited quarantining requirements in place. We're a few months out now from the start of the fall, so we don't know exactly how it will evolve. But keep in mind that you may have to arrive some 10 days earlier to be able to meet any quarantining requirements that there are. But generally, we are so fortunate that at North Texas, the pandemic looks to be very much under control, and on our campus, we are gearing up for a face-to-face campus back to normal in the fall. And so that's the situation with us. We know that around the world, the global pandemic is by no means over, and that in many countries, the ability to get visa appointments at the moment at the US consulates is still limited. We'll keep you posted when we hear more about the availability to be able to get your visa interview and to come. We encourage you by all means, if you can come and start in the fall, keep your studies on track, get yourself prepared for this new wave of hiring that is going to happen in the post-COVID world, where many, many companies are trying to prepare themselves for this new economy, the big data economy, which is going to be all about analytics. So Zainab, with that, I think we've reached a point where we've answered some of the direct questions that we've gathered from the chat and the Q&A. We'd love to still contribute to answering questions after the webinar, but for now, I think we've reached a point where we're ready to close out the webinar.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation, Peter, and also May and Tiara. We got a lot of questions and you covered them all. Thank you for your answers.
Great. So thank you for the IEFT team for these wonderful talks. And thank you for your wonderful support for anybody looking to study in the US. You're such a great platform for information for our international students, and we really enjoy working with the team at IEFT. Big shout out to you, Zainab. You're always such a wonderful partner.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.